Hello, and welcome to DREEMM, where we are focused on connecting to and building community. We are committed to helping individuals break cycles. We are delighted that you have taken the opportunity to join us. So prepare yourselves for this week's teaching and equipping session. Get ready to be educated, equipped, and set free as you listen to this week's broadcast. And thank you for joining us.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to DREEMM. I am so excited to be before you. I am going to be ministering today, bringing the word of God. So I hope you guys are all ready because we are going to talk about and dive into compromise. What did you compromise? So today we're going to talk about ourselves. What did we compromise? Now, I took some time yesterday to really just ask some people some questions about compromise, about the word itself. And specifically, I wanted to know, what do you think about compromise? If I asked you to define that word, if I asked you to just summarize for me, when you think of compromise, what's the first thing that comes to mind? And for some people, I heard, they settle. I heard, selling a dispute, an agreement, an arrangement, anything like that. That's what I heard when I asked about a compromise. And when I began to ask questions to dive in a little bit deeper, I began to hear, like I asked, do you think a compromise is a good thing or is it a bad thing? If I were to ask you about compromise, would you say it's good or it's bad? For the most part, people, when you think about an agreement and a settlement, settling disputes, it's a good thing, right? It's not necessarily anything bad there. So when I think about compromise, guys, I think it's positive. I don't actually think it's anything bad. So let me give you some examples of a compromise in that manner that may make you think it's probably good. Anybody who knows me whatsoever knows that I am the only girl and I have a whole slew of brothers. And then I have my half-sister who I met much later in my life. So she and I did not grow up in the same household. So when I would go home from my dad's house, I would have all that whole slew of brothers at the house. And sometimes now, being the daughter, the only girl, I always didn't get my way. Sometimes I could because I'm the only girl, but most of the time I didn't. And my mom having as many children as she had 5 children, there's a lot of arguments. Now, if you grew up in a house full of sisters and brothers, y'all can get into some arguments. And for us, it was normally about what to watch on TV. That was normally 90% of the arguments. Because my brothers want to watch shows like He-Man and Transformers, but I'm a girl. I want to watch My Little Pony and Care Bears, right? So mom's thing was, here's what's going to happen. You guys are going to work out an agreement on how much TV time you're going to watch, what you're going to watch, what time you're going to watch, who turn it is, who turn it's not. And then if I hear any noise, if I hear any arguing, I'm coming in to settle this dispute. And when she comes in and settles the dispute, normally everybody getting a whooping. Or in the rare chances we don't get a whooping, everybody got to go outside. I hated going outside as a child. In Georgia, it's hot in the summer. It's hot in the summer, okay? So I don't want to go outside. I want to stay in the house. Or if she has to come in, the TV is going off and everybody goes to your room and you figure out what to do in your room. Now, for my children, if I tell them to go to their room, it's so much stuff in their room that they're like, cool, I can go to my room. I'm good with that. But for me as a child, it was a totally different thing. So I would be frustrated if we can't go watch TV. I would be frustrated if I have to sit in my room for hours. So I wanted to be able to watch shows. So we learned to compromise. My brothers even got into some of the shows I was watching, or sometimes they would get up and walk out the room and I would be able to watch TV and they would forget it was their turn and I wouldn't necessarily remind them. I'm be honest, be transparent. I wouldn't remind them. I just keep on watching what I'm watching because they were distracted. But that was a good compromise because we learned to share. Case in point now. Anybody who knows me knows I love a good steakhouse. I love a good steakhouse. So let's just say you and I are going to dinner. You want chicken fingers, but I want a steak, right? So me and you may compromise, and instead of going to a steakhouse or anything like that, we may go to a restaurant that has chicken fingers and that has a steak. That's a good compromise because we kind of both get what we want. Now, it may not be the restaurant that I wanted to go to, may not even be the restaurant you wanted to go to. But we compromise and we find a restaurant that we both can go to, that we both kind of get what we want. So we kind of come to a settlement or an agreement. Let's look at a situation that I deal with on a daily basis. For those of you who don't know me, I am a recruiter by trade. That is what I do. So let's just say you and I talk about a position. I'm interviewing you for a job with our company. And the position we talk about, we get to the offer stage. We're ready to offer you the job. You say, Kai, I'm ready to take this position. Yes, let's go ahead and move forward. And I tell you, here's what the offer is. And you go, yeah, I was thinking $5,000 more than that. I take that back to our hiring manager, to our HR. We sit down and we discuss it. We come to a mutual agreement with you where whether we give you that salary or we may give you a sign-on bonus for the $5,000 more that you're thinking about. We may give you an extra week of vacation. You may decide, hey, you know what? I wanted $5,000 more, but I'll take the salary. You know, it's cool. I'll take that. And then I'll prove I'm worth it, and then I'll get a raise. Maybe we do bonuses and incentives throughout the year for your position. And so you'll make that $5,000 up. But we come to a win-win. You sign the offer letter, because I'm a recruiter. I want you to sign this offer letter. You sign the offer letter. You start working with the company. All parties come to an agreement, and we settle on the dispute, right? Now, in both of those situations, it was really a good thing. It was nothing bad. It was absolutely good. It worked out for everybody. Everybody settled. We're good, right? Did you notice in both examples I said settle? Did you notice that? Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't notice I said settle, but I did say settle, right? So, Kai, can you give me an example, since I'm thinking that compromise is a good thing? Can you give me an example where it's not a good thing? Oh, yes, I definitely can. I want everybody to join me as we go to 1 Kings 3:16. So we're going to go to 1 Kings 3:16 and 28. 3:16 through 28. You guys, I am not going to read this. I am going to summarize it, but I do want you to write it down because I do want you to go back and read it. It is very important that you do. So in this story, King Solomon, two women come before King Solomon with one baby. And they're both upset. They're both claiming to be the mom of the baby. Both of them are saying, this is my child. Her child died. My child is alive. This is my child. Solomon has to figure out who is the mom of this particular child. Which one of you is mom? And so in his infinite wisdom, his wisdom and his knowledge, he comes up with the compromise. The compromise is, let's cut this baby in half. Let's cut this baby in half. Since one baby died, let's cut the baby in half. Then you get a half of the baby and you get a half of the baby. So it's a win-win for both of y'all, right? Because both of you get to keep a half of this baby. Now, if I was there and I was in the room with King Solomon when he said this, I probably would be giving Solomon a side eye. Just, that's what you came up with. He the wise one. This the king. Yep. This right here. This who settle y'all disputes. Because I wouldn't have understand the process and the thought pattern behind the decision that he was making at that time. My mind wouldn't have gone there. My mind would have been, he about to cut this baby in half. He crazy. But he knew what he was doing. Because the real mom said, no, don't cut the baby in half. Give the baby to her. I will give up my child because I don't want my child to suffer. So give it to her. I'll relinquish rights as a parent. Here, you take them. You can raise them as yours. And in that moment, Solomon knew who was the mom, because the other woman said, cut the baby in half. I lost my baby. She needs to lose hers. My baby's gone. You need to lose your baby too. And that's how she was going to settle this dispute, by allowing him to cut a baby in half. We talked on Monday night about spiritual gifts, and one of the gifts that we talked about was discernment. We talked about that on Monday night with Apostle. And she went into the different gifts. And you guys, that is going to be a series. If you have not watched that, I'm going to tell you, go back and watch it. There was lots of information given. But you guys, discernment. Without a gifting of discernment, as I said, listening to Solomon and not being wise in the area that he was, or understanding that gifting, or not understanding what he was saying, I might have passed judgment on him because of the words that came out of his mouth. Discernment allowed him to think outside of the box, because I got two women before me saying, this is my baby, and I don't know who's telling the truth. How do I figure this out? Let me think creatively. I got it. Let me say something like this. That's how we're going to figure out who's the lie here. Because otherwise, we don't have DNA testing. So I can't say that. I can't look at the baby and go, you look like this person. How will I know? I got it. I got it. You are going to need discernment going into this next season, especially when we talk about compromise. But that's a situation where compromise was not a good thing. It was not something positive. It was not something that was celebrated. It was actually something that was a pretty bad thing. So let's keep on going. Now, for today, the definition of compromise that I want you guys to look at, that I want you to consider. Let's talk about what that is. So give me 1 second. Let me pull it up here. It means to accept standards that are lower than desirable. It's when I accept a standard that is lower than desirable. Now, does that mean that I set the standard, but I'm accepting something lower? Because just like in that premise of the salary that we talked about a few minutes ago, I want this salary, but you offering me this salary. So I'm going to accept and bring my standard down to make it level, to make it even, to settle this dispute. And in that situation, it could be a really good thing. It really could. It could be a great company, great benefits, great reasons why to settle. But there can also be some areas in our lives where we compromise or we settle in an area that God doesn't want us to settle in, that he doesn't want us to compromise in. Today, we're going to look specifically at a situation involving compromise that deals with relationship. And this is not just relationship with your significant other. This could be a relationship with who you choose to partner with. This can be a relationship with the best friend, with the parent, with the family member, with anybody. In relationship, how we settle and how we compromise. In the story that I'm going to share with you guys today, I'm going to share with you some compromises that I made earlier on in marriage. See, before we begin to speak, and I can tell you this for all of DREEMM, God deals with us first. He's going to deal with that situation or that brokenness in us so that we can begin to bring that word to you. God is never going to put us in a position where he allows us to bring a word that is still an area that is unresolved or wide open in us that we haven't even dealt with. I'm going to tell you to get your house in order while my house is crazy. I'm going to tell you to get your kids in order while my kids acting the dang on fool. I'm going to judge you for not doing XYZ why I didn't do XYZ. No. God is going to correct us first. So before, while God was correcting me, he said, I need you to understand something. You've been compromised. You've been compromised. And I'm going to reveal to you the areas where you've been compromised at so that we can start to deal with those areas. So you're going to have to wear this little sign real quick so you can check mark that little box that say I've been compromised. So as I begin to talk to you today, I want you to think about you. I don't want you to think about your neighbor, not your mama, not your sister, not such and so situation, relationship problems. I want you to think about yourself. Put your own sign on today. Put your own sign on today. Let me deal with what's right here, God. Deal with this right here first. Because I can't go out and minister to somebody else if I'm still wearing my sign. If I'm still dealing with that issue that I'm trying to hide from you. God gave me something Friday and I posted it on my Facebook page. And as time progressed throughout Friday, I realized God was saying, I'm talking to you too. I'm talking to you too. Compromised. Dealing with the situation that I want to give God my best, but I don't want to expose the worst of me. I want to give God my best. You know, God, I only want you to see this part of me, but not all of me. Not the broken parts of me. There are some things that I'm trying to hide even from God. And God is going, I see all. You know that thing you got hidden behind your back? I see that. I see that issue. I see that. I see that little area that's exposed, that's infected, that you don't think anybody else see. I see that. And I know it's there. And I want to deal with that issue because I need to deal with it so that I can deal with you so that you can continue to move forward in where I've called you to go. You can't be moving in the area that I'm calling you to go in when you still compromised. So let's go through some exposure. And in today, I'm going to tell y'all some stuff about me that you may know. I'm going to tell you some stuff about me that you may not know. So some of you are going to go, wow, I didn't know that. But I'm going to show it to you because I got to show you where I've been compromised at. So that if you're compromised in the same area, you can start making some changes today. That this will bring about a change for you, a change of mind. That you will turn around and about face, and that you will totally submit to God. Totally. Humble yourself before him. So let's go into this. So for those of you who know, I got married at 19. My husband was 20 when we got married. We had one child before we got married, and he was 5 weeks old when we got married, 5 weeks old. And then, you know, it was trying to clean up, trying to clean up what we messed up. At that point, it was like, we got to get married now because we have really messed up. Both of us were raised in the church. And so we had been compromised earlier on and did not really understand it. So we thought by going to the altar that it changed everything. So now we get to start all over. You know, we didn't really repent. We really didn't ask God to forgive us. We really didn't wholeheartedly mean anything. We were just compromised, right? As the marriage progressed, we ended up having another child. Shortly after we had the second child, my mom passed away. Suddenly. We did not know it was going to happen. There was no warning that she's about to pass. Literally, we thought that her situation, she had heart issues. We thought everything was okay. It was not. Lots of brokenness and unresolved issues were buried when she passed. Didn't get to resolve a lot of the hurt, the harm. And so what I learned to do was build on top of it and just keep shoveling things down, thinking, you know, as long as I keep pushing all this stuff down, you know, nothing's bad's going to happen. It's going to be good things. It's going to be all good, right? Because I didn't realize that I was compromised. See, I'm still going to church every Sunday. I'm still paying my tithes. I'm a praise dancer. I'm on the praise ministry. You know, I'm at church all day Sunday. I'm at every conference every single day of the week. I'm at Wednesday night service. I'm at marriage ministry. Compromise. My husband, complete opposite. So I'm at church every day because I know that I have all this pain that's just been pushed down. And every now and then something would bubble up. And when it would bubble up, I would feel like, God, I need you to take this away. Take this away, take this away, take this away. Because I don't know how to push it back down anymore. So I need you to take it away. So I was pursuing God because I need you to fix whatever it is. But I don't want you to fix everything because there's still some things I'm hiding from you, God. There's still some parts of me that I don't want to recognize and I don't want to realize that are there. But I need you to fix the areas that hurt because I want to give you my pain. But I don't want to give you everything. Because then, God, you're going to look at me and be like, oh, my gosh, she's a hot mess. Oh, look at her. I don't want anybody else to look at me and go, oh, she's not perfect as we thought she was. So I'm still hiding stuff behind my back, thinking nobody sees it. Not even God, right? Not even God. Everybody thinks like she's married. She's perfect. So I'm at church every Sunday, every New Year's Day, everything. Every time church open, I'm there. Y'all, my husband began to ask me every year, New Year's Eve, I'll be at church. And this one particular New Year's, he said, why don't you just stay home with me this year? We had been fighting all the time, like all the time. And he's like, every year, you know, you go to church. Every year, you bring in a New Year's by yourself. Why don't you just stay with me this New Year's? And I thought, this is a way to fix our marriage. Okay, all right. So I'll stay home this New Year's. I'm not going to go. I don't have to dance this New Year's anyway, so it's okay. I can stay home. And slowly but surely, it became one little New Year's, one little Sunday. You know, just go to one service on Sunday. Don't go to both. You come home for the rest of the day. 2 little Sundays. Oh, I got a migraine today. I'm not going to go to church today. Oh, I worked all day Saturday. I'm not going to go to church today. I'm tired. I need a day to rest. I done worked every day this week. I need a day to rest. It became so easy to make excuses. Before long, I looked up and didn't even recognize who I was. See, all of those things that I thought I had hid from God, all of those areas that I thought that God couldn't see, all of those places where I think I'm presenting the good part of me and not the bad part because nobody can see the compromised area because I done turned my little sign around. So now you don't see that I'm compromised. You don't know, right? Like it's really hidden. All of those areas, those things that I thought I had pushed down had started to bubble up. Bubble up. And then I wasn't even sure of who I was. I couldn't tell you who Cunningham was because I didn't know. I had no clue. I had come so far out of the will of God, and it started with little small compromises, little small ones. I start putting little small things in the place of God. And I didn't even realize that I had done it. I looked up one day and thought, oh, where am I? Where am I? You know you are compromised when you can absolutely say with definitive answer, I know if I do this and I die tonight, I am going to go to hell. I'm going to do it anyway. If I die, I die. That's it. I'll just ask God to forgive me while I'm in the process of dying. And then God will be like, okay, you can come on in. Okay, she asked for forgiveness while she was taking her last breath. She can come on in. How do you know that you'll have a moment when you take that last breath to even ask God for forgiveness? And how do you know you're going to even really truly be sorry in that moment? Or is it, I'm afraid that I'm going to wake up in hell, so God, please forgive me real quick before I die, before I take this last breath. God, come on. I was compromised. And the truth of the matter is, everybody knew it. Let's talk about a person who was compromised in the Bible. I am going to go to 2 Samuel. We're going to go to 2 Samuel 11:1. And this I am going to read, so I want y'all to read it with me. And it came to pass, after the year was expired, at the time when kings would go forth to battle, that David sent Joab. And they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. Now, there are 2 things that I need you to take out of this scripture. First of all, David was supposed to be at war. He was supposed to be at war. He sent his men, he sent his soldiers, and he sent somebody in his place. You go act, Joab, as king. You go. I'm going to send somebody else in my place, but I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to be at the crib chilling. We all know what happens next, but let's talk about what happens next. David wakes up from a dream. He goes outside to get some fresh air, looks out, sees Bathsheba bathing. That's what happens. You guys, first of all, here are some things I need us to understand about being compromised, because I need you to walk through this. And as I told you, I need you to understand, check you first. This is not for you to check your neighbor. This is not to tap your neighbor on the shoulder and go, neighbor, are you compromised? Neighbor, is she talking to you? Neighbor, did she ask you if you compromised? No, this is a self-check. This is you right here. Are you compromised? Because I got my sign. I know I was. And we're going to talk a little bit about that too. So the first thing that happens when we are compromised and what compromise may look like, and there's a couple of things that I'm going to go through. First thing is you get out of position. As I talked to you guys earlier, I told you already it was issues compounding on top of issues on top of issues on top of issues with everything that was going on with me. And had I truly allowed God to come in, had I truly submitted everything to God, God could have begun the healing process a long time ago. But I still had those things I was trying to hide. So God was like, you know what? No, you're going to have to deal with that. We're going to have to deal with that first. No, you got some stuff with you, and we're going to have to deal with that first. But see, I just want you to heal me with my stuff. And so when it was suggested by my husband, don't go this New Year's Day with me. We can just have a good time, just the two of us. We can bring in New Year's together. This is going to solve our problem, our relationship issues. I allowed myself to get out of position. It was easy. And then all of a sudden, he didn't even have to suggest. All of a sudden, I'm like, I ain't going to church today. I'm the one making the suggestions. I ain't going to church. I'm not going to pay my tithes this time. I'm not going to pray today. Ain't going to be reading no word. Because I'm compromised. See, I told you guys a few months ago, God gave me a word, breadcrumbing. Because that's how the enemy does it. He usually just doesn't come in and just snatch you all at once. Normally, he leads you away piece by piece. So it's like little thing on top of little thing on top of little thing. And then it becomes a much bigger thing, way bigger thing. Your standards begin to change. Your standards are off. Because I've been following the little breadcrumbs and I've been getting out of the presence of God. I've been following the little breadcrumbs and I have just slowly but surely ended up somewhere where I don't even recognize me. People who grew up with me didn't recognize me. Who is this person? I don't even know who you are anymore. You get out of position. See, had David been where he was supposed to be, he would have been at war with his man. Now, I'm going to have to say this, because y'all know I said it about Solomon, but I'm definitely going to say it about David. If I'm at war and I'm fighting and you chilling at the crib, now we got a problem. King, and I see the other army's king come out before the other army, and my king at the crib, no, I'm not going to fight today. We chilling at home. We ain't fighting today. The king said we can go home. I just can't imagine that. But he already out of position. See, being out of position and being compromised, he could see Bathsheba. He could see her bathing in the wrong position. Not even where he's supposed to be. And sometimes that's exactly how it happens for us. God tells you to be at point A. You are all the way at point X. And God looking like, I was blessed. I was about to bless you at point A. Why you all the way over there? Apostle made a statement a few weeks ago where she was talking about her necklaces getting tangled together. And how she was saying, how did this necklace even get in this place? It wasn't even supposed to be over here. I don't even put necklaces over here. That's how God is looking at some of us going, how did you get over there? Who told you to go over there? I didn't tell you to go. I told you to take this job. How did you end up at that job? I told you to marry this person. How you end up married to that person? This person wasn't supposed to be the father of your children. I had a whole nother person for you. We so far out of God's will because we done allowed the enemy to just breadcrumb us and we just picking things up and walking. Kind of like the story of Hansel and Gretel. Remember how the witch just put little breadcrumbs down, and Hansel and Gretel just were so hungry that they were just eating the breadcrumbs and walking away from where they were supposed to be. Safety. Walking away from where they were safe, that following behind, going into a trap that they don't even know that they're going into. And many of us, that is exactly where we are. The enemy is just putting little things down, and we so thirsty and so hungry that we're just picking it up and eating it, just picking it up. I want a relationship so bad that I'm willing to accept anybody who will be in a relationship with me. I want to be in love so bad because I keep seeing love on TV that I'm willing to be with anybody who will give me a relationship and love me. Because I want to be accepted so bad. Breadcrumbing. Now here's the thing to know about Satan, because some of y'all don't know this. And some of y'all about to be like, what? He ain't going to tempt you with nothing you don't want. Nothing you do not want. He will not tempt you with that. He is going to tempt you with something that you are going, I absolutely want this. I want this. I want it so bad. He has studied you. He knows your lineage. He knows what your mama wanted, what your grandma wanted, what your great-grandma, your great-granddaddy, your great-uncle. He knows everybody in your bloodline, even if you don't. Even if you don't. I don't even know who my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandma is, but Satan studied her. He know her, and he can tell me what caused her to fall. And that worked for her. It also worked for this person, and it also worked for this person. And he just goes down the bloodline, putting the same trick in front of each and every one of us. And because we are not telling the stories of this is how I felt, because we don't want nobody to know we compromise, so we hiding our sign. I don't want nobody to know. So I don't bother to tell my kids, this tripped me up. I don't bother to tell my grandkids, this is how I got compromised, so you don't fall into the same trap. I don't tell my nieces and nephews, this is how we got compromised. Your grandma got compromised by this. Your aunt got compromised by it. And then we get upset and we talk about the family member who get compromised by the same trap. I watched a story on TV where it was 4 generations of women, 4 generations who all had babies at 16. And I mean, not just one person in a generation. I mean, there was a mother with 3 daughters, and all 3 daughters had babies at 16. The mom had babies at 16. Each one of them who had children had babies at 16. And then down the line had babies at 16. It was acceptable. And then, no, let me go back. It wasn't acceptable by one mom, but her daughter still fell in the trap because I didn't tell you the story. See, you thinking that being in a relationship is so great, it's so wonderful at 16. You don't understand. I was compromised, and let me tell you what I learned in my compromised state so that you won't do it. So I hide my sign. Because now I'm no longer compromised. I hide my sign because I don't want anybody else to know. They may judge me if they know. They may not trust my words if they know. They may look at me different if they know that I had a sign that said compromised. You guys, Satan finds what's missing. What's the missing link for you? What's missing? Sometimes the thing that's missing is our identity. I don't even know who I am. My mom didn't tell me who I was. She told me that I was her princess, but that was it. She didn't tell me this is who you are and this is who you're going to be. I took my son to a doctor for a physical, and the doctor was from Africa. And the doctor said to me, listen, you American parents, y'all parent different. He said, with my children, I told them, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to school for. This is what's going to be your life. This is what's going to make it easier for you. He said, because when I came to this country, all I had was the clothes on my back and the shoes on my feet. He said right now from one, he's on the board of one position. And he said, I'm on this medical board. And on this board, I make $500,000 a year on this one board. He said, that's only one job. That's it. He said, my niece, I brought her from Africa because I wanted her to have a better life. He has 3 sons who are all going to medical school. The niece just graduated from medical school. He said, I set the standard for them. You do not bring home grades lower than this. And if you are struggling in school, let's figure out how we fix it. How do we make it better? You don't work while you're in school, because I need you to focus on where you're going to be in your future. You're going to be a surgeon. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a pediatrician. You're going to be this. And he said, and I set the vision for them, so they kept seeing that for their future. It kept playing for them. So it was never about what do you want to be when you grow up? Because as a child, I don't necessarily understand how to answer that question. I don't know. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to be a singer. I want to tap dance. I want to do that. They don't know how to answer that question. So he said, I answered the question for them. This is what you want. And for some people who hear that, they may go, no, but what if the child didn't want to be a physician? What if the child didn't want to be a doctor? What if the child didn't want to be a surgeon? He got 3 surgeons and a gynecologist. They all went to school to do what he said they were doing. He said they graduated, top of their class. They went to Ivy League schools. He said, but because I bust my butt, I could afford to pay for it. They got scholarships even if I didn't, even if it was an issue. But I could afford to pay for it because I told my child who they are. He said, a lot of you parents you don't tell your children who they are. You don't tell them the stories of what you went through so that you could get them to where they are. So a lot of your children are confused. They grow up not knowing, and they spiral out. And if you don't tell them who they are, Satan will. If you don't tell them who they are, what the standard is, Satan will. You have no standards. Go ahead. Wow out. So first, it starts with you getting out of position. What's the next thing that happens? It started with a thought. Started with a thought. 2 Samuel 11:2. 2 Samuel 11:2. David inquired, who is she? And he was told, that's Uriah the Hittite's wife. Because he was trying to figure out, who is this woman that I saw bathing? Oh my goodness, she was beautiful. She looked good. I want her. And he was told right away, this is Uriah the Hittite's wife. Not girlfriend, not fiance, not sister, not little cousin, wife. And already that plan was forming in David's head. That plan was already starting to work. That seed had been sown. He was already out of position. So the next phase was easy. I just got to whisper something real quick to plant a seed. Yeah, it's his wife, but he at war. He ain't home. She by herself. You the king, David. You the king. You can have her if you want her. Just call her. She'll come. And so at a time where kings are supposed to be at war, David is somewhere sitting down fantasizing about one of his soldiers' wives. Out of order. It started with the thought. David knew exactly what he was doing. So did I. I knew I was compromised. It started off as simple as not going to church. But then that allowed other doors to open. See, because all of that stuff that I was trying to run from, all of that stuff that I was starting to try to compress, I allowed all that stuff to bubble up and explode. And before I knew it, I was just wilding out, doing whatever. What was I doing? Having communication with people I wasn't even married to. Because it became easy. Because at this point, I don't care anymore. I'm so hurt. I'm so frustrated. I'm so angry. I'm so out of God's will. I have no standards no more. I just don't care. I don't care. And I allowed myself to go into areas that would allow me to be compromised. One of the areas that allowed me to be compromised, me and my cousin went out one night. And while we were out, I had never drunk, had never been to a club, had never done any of this. Went out with her. I did not know you're not supposed to mix different colored alcohols. First time. And that you're supposed to eat before you start drinking. I never drunk before. I was 27 and had never had alcohol before. So this night I'm like, it's my birthday. We're going to wild out. And we do. We drink. I am sitting in the club, call my brother who's in Nashville. I'm in Atlanta. And I'm like, I can't find this particular cousin. I don't know where she is. I don't know if she's safe. I don't even know where I am in Atlanta. I am in trouble. Like, I need some help. And my brother is panicking in Nashville because he's trying to figure out, how do I get to both of y'all? We don't know who to call. What club are you at? I don't know. I'm just riding. Dude, I can't even put numbers together at this point. I don't know how I called you on the phone. While I'm talking to him, I'm talking so loud, there's somebody sitting next to me at the bar. So he's ear hustling everything I'm saying. Sound like a plan, right? Okay, two girls, both of them drunk out of their mind. This is going to be good. I managed to find this particular cousin. We walk to the car. I get us both in there. As we're walking through the parking lot, she realizes she don't even have her shoes on. That's how gone we are. And then it becomes bad, y'all. We get in the car. There's a guy who's in the parking lot across from us, and he's like, "Are y'all okay?" And I'm like, "Yep, we're fine. I'm drunk, but I'm sober enough to understand that this is danger." So I'm like, "Yep, we're fine. We're okay. We just go sit in the car." And so all of a sudden, another car pulls up behind us, car full of guys. One of them is the guy who was ear hustling at the bar, who heard everything I said. Don't even know my life is in danger yet. The guy who was at his car getting ready to go in comes over and says, "Do you know these guys in this car behind you?" I said, "No, I don't know anybody." And he said, "Okay, these guys are saying y'all with them and they're about to get out the car. They're trying to get to the two of you." He said, "No, these are my little cousins. They all right. No, they're good." He's making excuses for us. They're good. No, y'all go ahead. This is my little cousin right here. That night could have went a whole different way. But when you compromise, you don't understand when you put yourself in danger. You don't understand the things that go on behind the scenes, because I'm not thinking consequences. Right now, I just don't care. And I no longer have standards. I don't care what happens. I'm hurting and I'm vomiting and I'm bleeding out everywhere. I was compromised. And that thought that started off for me ended up going into an actual action. And I started acting on all of those things, all of those behaviors, start acting on it, completely wilding out, because I want to cause as much pain as everybody else has caused me. Everybody else has hurt me. And so now I'm in a dangerous area of being compromised. See, sometimes we think that, I'm validated for this. There's a reason behind this. It's not me, it's everybody else. But we don't think about the actions that we are taking. We don't think about the risks that we are taking. And so I didn't get it, you guys. The next thing that happens, so first we said it started off is you getting out of a position. Then it becomes a thought. The third thing that happened, you start to validate your mess. What does that mean? Well, Satan convinces you that you finally are getting what you always wanted. Girl, you always wanted to be in a relationship with somebody who loves you. Yes, he's a drug dealer and he sells drugs and he's poisoning people and he's killing people, family. Yes, but he loves you, girl. Oh my goodness. Yes, he's married. Yes. But you get in the relationship you wanted. Compromised. You getting it. You compromise. You lowering your standards. You start to feel happy and at peace with everything. Because I feel validated in my drama. I feel validated with my compromise sign on. I feel good. I don't feel like there's any circumstances or any situations that would warrant me not to do this. I feel good with this thing. You have something to look forward to. You start to look forward to those text messages, those emails, those phone calls, those dates. You start to look forward to that stuff while you out here compromised. You begin to think about what you're going to do after service while you in service. So I'm going to church every blue moon. And while I'm there, because, my grandma's calling me and she's like, "Listen, did you go to church today?" "No." And I know it's going to be a deal. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just go to church. But while I'm sitting in church, my mind is somewhere else. My body is present, but my mind is gone. So I can sit in church and think about, oh yeah, I got that roast in the oven. When I get home, that roast gonna be so good. Or girl, we going out to eat afterwards. So compromised in church, girl, I'm sitting there texting people while I'm sitting in the service. Girl, you know what? You and the kids want to go to Six Flags? I'll get out of church at 2:30. Compromised. We thinking about who we about to fight in the parking lot of the church. If she look at me one more time, if he say something else to me, you looking at the fine dude who's sitting 6 rows over to the side of the fine lady who just walked up to the front of the altar with the tight skirt on and the big hips, and you just watching her walk. Compromised. In the church, my body is present, my mind ain't. The pastor could be misquoting scriptures. You wouldn't even know it because I'm compromised. He could be telling you the sky is blue, and I wouldn't know it because I'm compromised. I'm sitting up in church, compromised, with my sign on. And ain't nobody got no spiritual discernment in this church. Why don't they have spiritual discernment? Because the giftings don't flow. Because all of us in this church is compromised. That's why I go to this one. Nobody is going to cause me to be convicted of anything. We all compromised. This feels good. Body present, mind ain't. I got perfect attendance at church, but no reverence for God whatsoever. That's why I can feel comfortable sitting in the church sinning. That's why I can feel comfortable coming in church and not feel like I need to go to the altar and repent. Because I have no reverence for God. My standards I don't have any standards at this point. I don't have any. I feel good about this. Yeah, I'm wearing a compromise sign, but who gonna judge me? Because we use that scripture. Nobody can judge you. Can't nobody judge me. All of us have sinned. We start using it like that. All of us have sinned and fall short. So can't nobody judge me in here? Compromised. You create a list in your head of everybody that has a position in the church but are living in sin. Everybody. So you looking at all of them half crazy. And that's not hard to do when we got the minister who's compromised, still doing Sunday service, still doing their Sunday duty, preaching, compromised. We got the ministers who are having same-sex relationships. You got the church members who sleeping with each other, mother's board, out of order. You got deacons who will get up and pray every Sunday and bring the word, but you know they sleeping with somebody. And they're married. Y'all compromised too. I had this woman that I went out and partied with one time, and I think at this point I was having a really hard time. This is when things were really bubbling up. And she said, you know what? You need to come to my church. I'm an altar worker. I'm going to pray for you. Come to my church. First of all, when she told me what church she went to, I was like, no. Then I thought about the fact that we just partied together. I know how you party. Yeah, you ain't about to pray for me. We not about to do that. And then I'm going to come to the altar to meet you at the altar. God gonna set that altar on fire with both me and you standing there. I'm not gonna participate. Not gonna do this. Had enough sense to know not to play with God like that. I had enough sense about that. Everything else, open game. How you gonna pray for me and you compromised? How you gonna get up and preach the word of God and you compromised? You just rolled out of bed with somebody who ain't your wife. But you gonna get in the pulpit on today? You gonna bring what God gave you. One thing that Apostle says that I think makes so much sense is we think because I still have my gifting because I still know how to prophesy, because I can still lay hands and get you slayed in the spirit, because I can still bring a word that causes everybody to change, because I can still play the drum, because I can still get up there and sing and have everybody slain in the spirit. I think that because I can still do that, I can still wear my compromise sign, because you won't know. I just sung your socks off and the spirit fell. I think. Yeah, it did. That was the spirit. That wasn't the beat. That was the spirit that fell. You didn't get caught up in the tempo thinking about your situation. No. That was the spirit. I brought the spirit in. Yeah, you brought a spirit in, all right. You did. You brought a spirit in. Compromised. I think because I still got my gifting, I can still flow, I can still move, I can still usher in some things. I can still pray for your healing and you get healed. So it don't matter what I do when I'm not in church. It ain't Sunday. I don't sin on Sundays. I mean, Sundays are holy, but Monday, whatever goes. It's Monday now. So I was good all day yesterday. I even fasted. I paid tithe and offering. I gave a tithe and offering. And I told God I was sorry. Although I know I had made plans to do this today on Monday. But I'm sorry. I'm still do it. But God, I'm sorry on Sunday. Compromised. You feel comfortable around people who are in church sinning. We birds of a feather. You ain't judging me, I ain't judging you. And anybody who judging us, they ain't got no right to judge me. Are you perfect? That's how we act. Are you perfect? Did you do everything right? Did you dot every I? Did you cross every T? You got 6 kids. And ain't none of them got the same daddy. So you can't say nothing about what I'm doing. Craziness. I had a recollection of, you have a recollection of God? Because I had one. I remembered when I would think who God was without having a relationship and no conviction whatsoever. I remember God, but I don't have a relationship with him because I'm compromised. And I don't have no conviction whatsoever. Which is why I can sit up in the church and think about sinning and not feel anything. Feel completely numb. Feel okay with it. Because I was compromised. 4th thing, you start to make peace with your sin. Again, you no longer feel convicted, so it's easy to make peace with it. See, there was a time before Kenny and I got married where after we had Kavion for that short window of time where we knew we were getting married. So we know we're on our way to the altar. So it felt okay to have sex. Like, okay. But afterwards I would get up and go, we can't do this anymore. This feels bad. Like we shouldn't be doing this. Okay, well, let's not do it again. And then we do it again. And oh my God, I feel bad. Let's just get married in 2 weeks then. So we can wait 2 weeks. I know that's real. I know somebody is amen in that. Somebody is like, look, that's me. I told you I'm exposed a lot today. Compromised. Feeling guilty, but it wasn't just me feeling guilty. He felt guilty too. We shouldn't be doing this. We were raised in a church. We knew right from wrong. But we were compromised. So we made peace with it by getting married. And we only gonna do this in 2 weeks. Like this has to happen like quick. Like we can't wait no months. We can't wait no months. Got to be some weeks and only 2 of them. That's it. Capped in 2 weeks. But then there became a point when I was compromised where I no longer felt convicted. Didn't feel anything. Nothing. Could go out and party and can come home and feel nothing. Just numb. You tell yourself that nobody is perfect because that is the easiest excuse to be able to accept what you're doing that you know you shouldn't be doing. And then soon you don't even have to make excuses anymore. because I'm so far. I'm at level 4 at this point. This is level 4. I'm at peace now. You don't feel an ounce of remorse. For what? Why? I don't have to feel remorse. It becomes easier not going to church at this point because I was no longer making excuses for not going. Like the boys would ask me on Sunday, are we going to church today? Ma, I miss going to children's church. I can remember when I first realized Kavion was a seer. He was at children's church and he came out and he was like, I saw something. So I was like, tell me what you saw. And as he began to explain it, I went, oh, show you it? Okay. That's normal in our family. We see things. Didn't know what to tell him outside of that because I was compromising outside of the church. Never took him back after that. We never went back. Because I don't want to deal with anything that makes me feel convicted. And I don't want to deal with anything that reminds me of who God called me to be and the standard that he set for my life. So, and you finding out that you have this gift, I'm realizing I'm compromised because I also have this gift. So I gotta wear my compromise sign again. And now we can't go back to church anymore. And so when my son starts asking me, can we go to children's church? No, we ain't gonna go this Sunday. I got something to do. And then every Sunday I start having something to do. And I'm pretty sure they caught on to the point where, like, she would never go anywhere or do anything on Sunday, but she always had something to do when we asked her to go to church. But yet we sit home Sunday after Sunday doing nothing. Compromised. Committing all the sin without remorse. I didn't kill nobody. That's one. I got one. But compromised. It became easier just to go with the flow. See, I noticed when you compromise at this level, at level 4, Satan really doesn't have to really attack you anymore. I don't really have to do anything to you, as a matter of fact. I could just sit back and watch you mess your life up. You don't really got to send demons in at this point because you are just accepting of this way. You just like, I'm good. I'm at level 4. I'm cool. He sit back and watch you and probably go, wow, I didn't know it was going to work like this. Wow. Oh my gosh. I can't believe she did that. Because I didn't understand the consequences that were happening. Then I went to level 5. Because you got to keep going up. I went to level 5. And at level 5, you cut off communication and godly counsel. I moved all the way to Sandy Springs to get away from anybody in my family that was in Atlanta who could potentially talk to me about God or talk to me about coming to church. I'm so far away from y'all in the southern part of Atlanta that I'm like, you know what? Ain't no come to my church on Sunday morning. I'm too far away. Like, that was like 6 hours away. I'm literally just about 45 minutes. But to me, in Atlanta traffic, oh, that could be a 3-hour ride. So I was just like, I'm away from everybody. No family is up here. No judgment. I can do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it, however I want to do it, and nobody can say anything. I'm away from anybody who can give me sound wisdom. I'm cutting off communication. I really don't answer my phone. I may answer my text. Sometimes every now and then when messages pop up in your timeline, you know how Facebook will tell you, 5 years ago, you posted this. And some of that stuff pop up. I'm like, what in the world? Delete. Like, I thought I deleted all this stuff. But every now and then something will pop up and I'll go, I was out of it. I was at level 5. My aunt is spiritually gifted and a gifted seer. And I have several aunts who are just really gifted. One is gifted in wisdom. The other one is just sound counsel. She breaks everything down and you gonna understand where she's coming from. That's it. But my other aunt, Apostle, is this is what God said. I'm going to give it to you straight. No chase. You just going to take this. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But I'm going to tell you what God said, because I'm accountable for delivering this word to you. And I remember I called her about something else, and she started to go in on me. And I was like, all right, I'm going to talk to you later. Bye, click. I don't want you to tell me anything about anything I'm doing right now. I don't want you to read me. And I avoided her phone calls by all. Y'all listen, don't call me. Don't take, nuh-uh. You called me? Did you really? I didn't get that message. Oh, what day was it? Oh, it must have been something wrong with my phone. I didn't get that message. Because I'm avoiding counsel. Any kind of sound, wisdom, any kind of anything that makes me feel like I'm accountable, I'm avoiding that. I don't want to talk about that. You begin to feel judged by everybody who tries to tell you that this does not line up with the standard. Oh, you judging me? I don't want to talk to you no more. You judging me? You don't go around them. Every time they open their mouth, all you see is judgment. Oh, here it comes. Why can't you just let me live? I don't understand. You begin to find fault in every single person who could give you sound counsel. Where was you when I was being hurt? Where were you? Where were you? You didn't have a single word for me then. Where were you when I was a teenager and suicidal? You didn't have a single word for me then. So why have a word for me now? It was easy to find fault in people. Where were you when I was broken? You ain't have no words for me then. You ain't have no wisdom for me then. And so it was easy for me to just cast people out of my life. Like, I began to put up walls around myself so nobody could get in. Nobody who could actually hurt me could get in. Nobody who could make me feel anything could get in. My kids couldn't even get in. I kept everybody at arm's length. You stay there. I don't want to feel anything bad. I don't want to feel anything that's going to hurt. So I don't trust anybody to get any closer to me. You stay there. I was at a level 5. And then comes level 6. The cover up. Sin feels good until you're in a compromised situation and it's exposed. When we look at 2 Samuel 11:5-26, that's exactly what happens. Bathsheba comes to David. She says, hey, I'm pregnant. And David starts to cover up. Let's get your husband home. Let's get your husband home. Let's get you to sleep with your husband. And then you tell him you're pregnant and we cover this whole thing. That didn't work. Dang, he didn't go home. Now, when I think about that, Uriah, I think about his dedication and his loyalty to the army and to David at that time. I am so loyal to my king and to my fellow brothers in arms. I'm not even going to go home and find comfort with my wife, not eat a comfort meal, because my brothers at arms are still at war. So if they don't get to go home to their wife, I'm going to sleep outside of your gates, king. I'm not going to go home and eat a meal and go be with my wife. He was more dedicated than David was because he was already out of position and compromised. Already. Sin feels so good until we become exposed. We hit a level 6. Some of us will never hit a level 6 because you will do an about face before you get there. But for many people, you will get an exposure that happens. When God can't get you to turn around and I can no longer hide you or cover you or nothing. You just out here just do, okay, you're going to go through an exposure. Okay, we about to find out what you're doing behind closed doors because you're playing with me. You still in the pulpit every Sunday. You playing with me. So let's expose you now. And for some of us, we repent before we get there, but for many of us, we don't. If this is you, if I described you at any level of these, any level, it is not too late. It is so not too late. This is your opportunity to get it right. I have already worn my side and I've exposed myself. I told y'all I was compromised. So this is not coming from somebody who did everything right, who did everything perfectly, who dotted every I and crossed every T. This is somebody who could tell you, I wore this sign. I was compromised. But through the grace of God, through his mercy and his goodness, he loved me anyway in my compromised state. Let me still reach out to you because I can still use you. Let me try one more time. But if this doesn't work, I'm releasing you. Some of us won't get that one more time because life happens. We don't know the day nor the hour. We don't know when our end is going to be. But I know a God who can still forgive you and cover your compromise. Your compromised state is covered by his blood. Your compromised state is covered. And all you have to do is just acknowledge it. 2 Corinthians 12:9 came up in my story today, and I want to read it really quickly. It says, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about mine. For my power is made perfect in your weakness. That means there are some areas in my life that I'm not as strong in. But that's where God's grace and his power is made perfect, in that area. So for you, I want you to pray with me right now. We are going to pray and we are going to acknowledge, one, our weakness, our sin. And then we're going to ask God to come in and clean that area up. But now that you realize that you're compromised, you are going to have to start making decisions not to do the things that align with the enemy. It is going to require about face for you. It's going to require you to do some things differently. If you are in a place and you're compromised right now, is the phone number for DREEMM in our email. I want you to connect with our team because we will come in and help you with deliverance and restoration and empowerment and education for you ministry, for me ministry. That means dealing with my issue. And you won't be judged. You won't be criticized because each one of us holds our own compromise sign. Each one of us holds our own sign saying, I was compromised too. So I'm not going to judge you for being compromised, but I want you to be delivered. I want you to be set free. It doesn't matter what level you are, whether you're at level 1 or you're at level 6. He still died for you, for your sin. So I want you to bow your head and I want you to pray with me because I grew up in a church where when you needed prayer, somebody would take your hand and escort you to the altar and we would pray for you because we wouldn't judge you. And we felt like nobody should pray alone. And we felt that you needed to know that you had support. You needed to know that somebody is here with you and somebody's going to hold your hand through this process. So I am going to pray with you this morning. But as I said, DREEMM's information is on the screen. If you need more prayer, if you need, hey, listen, I'm compromised. I need some help. That's what we're here for. Okay? So everybody bow your heads and just repeat after me. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we ask that you come into my life, that you cleanse me from the inside out, and you help me to become uncompromised. I believe in my heart that you sent your son to die for my sin so that I may be forgiven. God, I ask that you purify me and bring me closer to you. In Jesus' name I pray, amen and amen. I wanted to keep that prayer really simple and not as deep because when we start to deal with your compromised state, our dream team is going to go into detail about all of the things that are hidden in your bloodline and in generational curses and things that you may be compromised in areas that you may not recognize. And so as we go through that process, there are going to be more prayers that we have with you that pray for something specific for your situation. So if you're compromised, contact us. Let us help. That is what we're here for. No judgment. All right, you guys, this has been, I am Kai Cunningham, and I'm with DREEMM. I thank you guys for spending time with me tonight, or today. I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Join us tomorrow for Men's Empowerment at 7 p.m., where we will meet and the men will meet, and women, we are allowed to come in and get some food and some nourishment as well. And we will talk to you guys again about when we will continue the sessions on just the fruits and the gifting that you may have, because we've got a lot of questions about people who don't understand what my gifting is, or how do I use it, or how do I become equipped in that area. I don't know who to talk about these things. We're going to start giving you some more teaching and sound judgment on that, and some sound, firm foundation, because we believe in setting the foundation. You guys have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you again soon. Talk to you later, guys. Have a blessed one. Bye, guys.